Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I'm also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over why I feel like successful men may struggle with dating. And I think first we need to define what successful means as a man. Like, what does it mean to be successful? Because I think it depends on your opinion and perspective. So, to me, a successful man would mean someone who believes in himself that he pretty much has everything figured out in every other area, or he feels relatively successful in a lot of areas: hobbies, career, maybe even socialization, perhaps other things like he has a lot of streams of income, maybe he's close with his family, maybe he feels like he's really worked on himself. Any of those things. But I think even more particularly, he might be very successful in certain areas, but not successful in socialization. So he might be doing really well with his job. He might feel like he's really emotionally regulated, but he's struggling with dating. How does this happen? How to kind of resolve some of these things? And where does some of this come from? Well, I think before we even talk about the points, I can acknowledge that dating is difficult nowadays, particularly because both men and women have very abstract or specific standards. And I think a lot of it comes from social media. You might see a woman, she wants a guy with six figures, goes to the gym 5 times a week while she works part-time at I don't know, fast food. She doesn't work out and she can't cook. So, it's not that he's being shallow by not picking someone like that. It's that truly they're not going to be compatible. They have nothing in common. And it can be the flip side as well. I'm not just saying for ladies, gentlemen too, right? We'll see maybe somebody he doesn't really socialize, maybe he doesn't have a job, and then he feels like he wants that attractive, I don't know, Instagram model, right? You'll see these things as well. So dating is difficult. And so you can be successful in a lot of areas and you can still struggle with dating. It doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with you. There's no flaw with you. Sometimes it's just the way life is at this point. And I think it just takes longer than perhaps people, before us. But I think there are some pieces of this that we can talk about and consider, okay? So I think the first point is that men who are perceived as successful, a lot of them are emotionally suppressed. Not all of them, but I'm just talking about based on my caseload as a therapist. I see a lot of these men, they are very successful and they're perceived as successful to a lot of people. A lot of men aspire to be this type of guy, but he's really emotionally suppressed. And what he does is to continue to suppress his emotions. He often engages in a lot of hobbies. There's nothing wrong with engaging in hobbies, by the way. So please, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he often engages in hobbies to avoid uncomfortable emotions. And so often they want to manage their dysregulation or discomfort and they suppress that using hobbies. So instead of having some sort of emotional reaction, they are using hobbies to suppress, which can be healthy to some extent, but not to the point of suppression. And what we see is that they accidentally push people away because any emotion they have, instead of talking it out or communicating with that person, if it's an issue between two people, they suppress it. And so that's one reason that I think that I see, actually genuinely see, that these men are often struggling to connect with others due to this, okay? The next one is because they are very successful in what they do, they're used to very predictable environments. The skill sets needed for career and for dating are different. And we can't bring those communication skills, etc., into our relationship. It can create issues. When you're used to predictable environments due to work or hobbies, you are used to so much structure, sometimes you have struggled with compromise. And relationships actually require a lot of compromise and verbal communications. The next point is, due to the lack of experience, you may struggle to vet out healthy women, and you tend to fall for emotionally dysregulated women because she has what you lack. She has a lot of emotional expression, and that kind of draws you in. It makes you feel like she cares about you, she likes you, this relationship has a lot of potential. It sometimes can feel very chemical from what folks have reported to me. She initiates, she seems outgoing, she appears to have all the traits you want in yourself. But the issue with this is a lot of people are attracted to what they're missing, but it actually can be a sign of incompatibility. Because she initiates, because she's outgoing, she might sometimes be more emotionally expecting. She might be more needy, some people call it. And that is not healthy sometimes, because you might see that because you have very different views of things. You're okay with being alone or engaging in hobbies. She might not be okay with those things. So if you're not giving her those things, she might jump to another guy, or sometimes, unfortunately, she might cheat. And your lack of experience could be because you've been focusing on building yourself, building your career, taking care of yourself for a lot of your earlier years, which is what made you so successful. But you ended up missing out on experience, which made you kind of lose the idea of what a healthy woman looks like. And then, kind of sub point of this, a lot of the healthy women, unfortunately, are taken at this stage. And so it's going to be a longer, more drawn out dating process for you, which can, in result, be more frustrating and get you more negative with relationships. And then you might push people away due to that, even though it's not originally your intention. And the last one is sometimes people who are very successful and they're working a lot, their idea of what a woman should be comes from social media, not a real woman, or not even what a woman should be, what you think a woman is like. So successful men are often very busy, and may have little time interacting with others. And so because of that, your idea of what a person is supposed to be is based on social media, like it almost exclusively. Now, I want to share a personal example. This is actually the opposite. It's not really about successful men, but it's a concept that a lot of people might relate to. So I have a lot of female friends, and a lot of them, some of them I know are not, maybe they don't have as much exposure. I'm saying exposure like they don't have much. Maybe they only have a part-time job. I think because of my career, I just see a lot of different lives. And so that's what I mean by exposure. And so she has an idea. I have some friends that literally look at social media and they're like, oh, this thing where like men leave their wife when she's sick. Like that, there is some research on that. And yes, but I don't like when people cherry pick data without even understanding the research. Like you're extrapolating like one little portion where the researcher themselves has like a couple of caveats and disclaimers, and you're extrapolating like one sentence that just went around social media, and now you think all men are like that. Like that is absolutely ridiculous. There's so much evidence of the other way around. But because she has less exposure, or she doesn't have an understanding that men are just not like that. And she's always been in like short-term relationships, whereas I've just been with like one person pretty much my whole adult life. I know that guys are not like that. She doesn't. And that's kind of what I mean. And obviously it's not necessarily even about successful people, but successful people, some of them, they don't have time. And so their only understanding of the opposite gender might be social media. So that's just a point. And then what can you really do about this? Like, how can you fix it? So I think one thing is to manage your emotions. Take time if needed to process emotional reactions and kind of process where your emotions are coming from. I think that's the first one. The second one, I think, is setting boundaries early on. Very simple. You can even say, I'm not really comfortable with that. The next one can be, let's talk about that later. I've had a long day at work and I'm not really in a good headspace. Setting boundaries early on is really important, but it also vets people who want to cross your boundaries. Because if you say this, I'm not really comfortable with that, a person who has healthy boundaries will be like, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for letting me know. And they will back off. That's like a normal reaction. Let's talk about this later. I had a long day at work and I'm not in a good headspace. People will be, oh yeah, I understand how that feels. Let me give you space. But if a person doesn't understand that, already you're seeing someone who's incompatible, who crosses boundaries, and likely will just be more of a headache in the long run. The next one is start small with spending. Some successful men think that spending is the best way to get a girl. Maybe, but I don't know if it's the girl that you want long term. That's up to you to decide. I'm not a man and I can respect that. But I would say maybe a good idea is to start small. Go on a casual date, a coffee date, a park. My first date with my significant other was a park. Like, I loved it. But I like certain outdoors type of things. I like stuff like that. So maybe it depends on the person. But like, I like nature. But that's up to you to decide. A casual date, something relaxing. I would say something that is not expensive. Like, I'm just being honest. I'm talking like more specifically about the cost. And the reason why is because it vets out women who are trying to use you. But even more so, it vets out people who have unrealistic expectations. Okay, some women believe that how much you spend equals commitment. And that's a very, lack of better words, delusional like perspective. The amount of money a man spends on you has nothing to do with commitment. Perhaps in time it does, but not right away. He doesn't know you. There's no way he can decide that you're his wife just by meeting you. Like before even meeting you, because it's even prior to a date that he even prepares that stuff, right? Like that's like, it's genuinely, I think, impossible for him to know that. And some women believe that that's what it should be. And that's kind of like the person you're vetting out, these types of people. And the next one is communicate things you need for her to change as well. A lot of men think that they have to be the one to change all the time. So it's either they have to change or they kind of just opt out of relationships. That's not accurate. Based on a lot of research, both people have to make adjustments, not just one, because then he's going to resent the relationship, then he's going to be miserable. The relationships are incredibly complex. So communicate things that you want her to change as well, so you limit all of the complicated stuff that comes into feeling resentful and alone in a relationship. You can say, I would appreciate if you were mindful of the amount of text you send me during work hours. I can't always be on my phone, so just, more moderation, please. Something really simple. And I do want to mention, no matter what, sometimes dating is just hard. It's going to take a long time. There's no magic way to fix dating. That's just a reality. You're going to have to, I think all of us, like whoever we are, even if we're in a relationship or not, we have to be honest that maybe some of the skills that we understand about dating comes from our parents, and dating was a different landscape. And so I think all of us are just trying to figure it out. And so I'm trying to help as best as I can. And this is some of the things that I think a lot of men, especially successful men, struggle with. But this is just my thoughts. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.